He'll get your life back to normal. Lonnie with Restore It Restoration.
Welcome to another edition of the Service Guys podcast. I'm Ruel Abadam, and on the other line we have our service professional, Lonnie Beecham. What is up, Lonnie?
Not much. Pumping up my pump-up sprayer to neutralize some cleaner.
To neutralize cleaner. What does that mean?
Yes. Well, I'm just doing some maintenance after I utilize a pump-up sprayer. I always deal with chemicals and just got to neutralize it, make sure it's not sitting inside the O-rings and the valves and stuff, eating away at the stuff I paid for. So I just clean it after each use.
Oh, I see. It's sort of like when you're in the shower, soaping your body and your pits and stuff, and then you've got to rinse it off with water so that you don't have the residue all over your body of the dirt plus the soap.
Yep. Basically.
Very cool.
Yeah.
The armpits of your
pretty
equipment.
Boring on my end. The armpits of my equipment. Yeah, so what's up with you? Did you ever figure out why I'm popping up on laundromats?
I need to investigate that. Definitely do need to switch the website somehow. It doesn't look like the mobile interface has the ability for me to do that. So I'm going to see what's going on in the desktop, see if there are more features on the desktop that will allow me to customize and switch things around, because there may be something there that's causing the Google to say, hey, whenever someone searches for laundromat and, I don't know, water damage restoration service or whatever, let's look up Restored Restoration. I don't know.
Well, and it's weird. I've had one phone call where somebody asked if I was, are you a laundromat? I was like, no. No.
How long has
I don't want your... Oh, for months and months. And you know me, I just go to work, I got more work than I know what to do with. But yeah, for months, it's been showing up as like the top rated way to find me.
Wow. It's time to open up
and
a laundromat.
Variations of, 24-hour laundromats near me, just laundromat. I don't know what all the breakdowns are, but man, there's tons of them with laundromat in the
somewhere out there.
Laundry.
Is there a relation between your first name and laundromat?
I don't know.
Launder Beecham. That's weird.
I don't have a clue.
Yeah, I'll see what I can come up with, but definitely do want to see about making some changes to see if we can switch things up a bit as far as connecting your Google map search and how that turns out on search.
So did you figure out what my password and username and all that jazz was?
No, but I did find out how I could request to be to have access.
Oh, that's right. I remember that email. Emails do pop in on my phone immediately. So
yeah, and then you agreed to it, and I felt like I got a promotion.
Nice.
Very
nice.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah,
I just don't know what I'm doing anyway, so I don't even want to mess with it.
Well, with things turning up for laundromat, it wouldn't hurt to change things up. I tried to add services, things like because you've already got the water damage thing and the carpet cleaning service. I wanted to see if I could specify mold remediation, and it doesn't even indicate floor or tile type stuff. So, but it didn't have any luck on the mobile app to change the settings on Google My Business. But we'll see what we can do.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what else is going on?
I don't know. We had the pre-chat, and my understanding is that you just had a ton of work.
Yeah, got out of. Well, I had one mold job. The lady, I'm so glad. I'm so glad to be out of that. Oh man, am I glad. That one got wrapped up a few weeks ago. Then I another mold job that literally wrapped up yesterday. That one Yeah, I had 7 rooms, and I passed 5 out of the 7 rooms, and the 2 areas that I didn't pass, I technically could have walked away and said you're on your own, but I stood, I just stuck with it, and fixed it, and made it right for them, and I don't like that bad blood, getting legal and all that jazz. So, hey, if I can, swallow an extra, $200 worth of material and then my time and gas, I'd rather do that than have somebody out there that doesn't like me. Yeah, and And then I got a situation in a town an hour and a half from my house that they keep trying to get me involved in, and I keep telling them it's too far. It's 3 hours round trip, just plus the time there, and then it's actually family. And they had a competitor of mine come in and do a mold assessment, a pre-mold test, and a post-mold test, all on their own, and then they had my guy go in and do some testing, and it was night and day different.
Wow.
Are you driving with your windows down?
No. I'm just sitting still. Does it sound like there's a whole bunch of stuff going on?
Yeah, for a minute it sounded like that. So anyway, this cousin of mine, they actually own second cousin. I don't know what it is. It's my mom's uncle's child, so my second or third cousin, my great uncle. Anyway, so they get this outfit, come in and do some mold remediation work, but they didn't do anything right, nothing right. And then they do their own testing. And they do their own testing, that's like conflict of interest. That is huge no-no. I mean, I can't do that, But because they screw it up so bad, so often, no mold tester people will work with them because they can't pass to the, at the standards that we all use. So I told my cousin, hey, call this guy, get him in, get an air sample, and lo and behold, my guy's air samples came in at like off the charts, crazy amount of mold in these areas. And yet this company's air test came in with numbers I've never seen indoors. They were so low. And then it turns out that the lab that he was using only magnifies it 7 times versus everybody else uses 21 times. So the difference is like counting trees in a forest or counting the leaves on the tree. It's kind of the analogy. Well, yeah, they only ran at 7 magnification, and then lo and behold, it's like, of course you're going to get some ridiculously crazy low lab number if they're only looking 7 times instead of 21 times. So I got that going on. He keeps trying to get me down there to do the job, and it's like I can't do it. Not for the money he's already paid to this other company.
Wow. For third the cost.
Yeah. Basically, it's really cheap.
Yeah, 7 times versus the standard 21 times. That's how I did that.
And I talked to my mold tester guy, and he said that this lab company had been trying to get his business for a while, and often really cheap, crazy, stupid cheap testing, lab testing, and he didn't like what they were saying, and then he found out that it was only 7 times instead of 21 times. He's like, well, no wonder you're not, charging and doing enough, because I don't know. I learned a lot, and I don't know how to repeat what I learned.
Is that because
I don't understand actuaries and statistics and stuff, but they're using decades old, like 3 decades old statistics instead of current statistics. So I don't understand all that stuff.
Okay. So they're not outfitted. It's not that they can't. They're probably just not outfitted to do the current standard.
Right.
I see. Or they are. They want to cut corners and get as many jobs as they can.
Yeah, they could be. Yeah, they might have the technology and the know-how to do it properly, but for budgetary purposes, maybe they offer a good, better, best type of pricing and ServPro on knowing what they're doing. I know how to skew a test, an air sample test. Everybody out here does. The standard is to run it for 10 minutes. You just run an air sample for 10 minutes. It's a little diskette thing. It's a round disc that sucks in air, and it's on a little vacuum pump, and it just sucks in air for 10 minutes. One of these cartridges will do about 1,000 square feet, and it's real sensitive and crazy sensitive, actually. And so if you run it for 1 minute, you can skew the numbers to look good, or if you run it for the standard 10 minutes, then it's going to spit out what it spits out. In fact, these things are so sensitive. What is today? Wednesday. So Monday, I had a post-test done on this family, that I was just telling you about, where I could have walked away, but I chose not to, right? So they were having their ventilation system put back into their house. Apparently, one of the HVAC guys was smoking outside of this little garage area, and but it was still able to detect smoke on the little air sample slide from outside.
Wow.
So
unknowingly impacting the results.
Yeah, so secondhand smoke does show up on air samples. In fact, the lab guy calls me and says, "Was somebody smoking in the garage?" And I'm like, "No, nobody was smoking in the house anywhere." And they're like, well, "Somebody did, because that's all I can see is smoke on the slide."
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So enough about my boring stuff. Tell me about your day at the office.
Well, this funny thing you mentioned the smoke thing, and it reminded me of the other day. I was at home grilling, right? I was grilling at the end of the day, and I've got chicken drumsticks on the grill. I've got some beef short ribs. Later on, I threw in some hot dogs. My daughter wanted some beef hot dogs, and I've got like some flare-ups going on, and I'm trying to deal with the flare-ups. And then I hear sirens, right? And then 3 fire department trucks roll into the street, and they block the street. And I'm thinking, oh no, what did I do? I'm just grilling some meat here. And
were they there for you?
Oh no, they were responding to the neighbor across the street, whose I guess their smoke alarm system had triggered, and then it got the fire department there.
No kidding.
Yeah, so I was talking to another neighbor about what happened. Is everything okay? He says, yeah, it was a false alarm. The fire department, they make mountains out of molehills. This neighbor's he's been in law enforcement for 30 years, so he kind of understands it way more than I do. He says, yeah, that's just what happens. And I said, yeah, because I was grilling some meat, and then the trucks rolled in, and I was freaking out, like I'm just doing some meat here. I'm just He says, yeah, it could have been the delicious smell of the grilling had made the neighbors feel like there was fire in the house, but
maybe they were hungry.
Yeah, sometimes our smoke alarm triggers, in the house because of something that's going on in the stove, or and it's one of those
smoke
things.
Smoke alarms are not timers.
They're what?
Smoke alarms are not timers when you're baking. Just remember that.
That's a good tip. And they're not smart enough to detect the difference between you're just cooking dinner versus, the mattress is on fire, right? It's all the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, did I ever tell you about the time this was years ago, probably 6 years ago. Actually, yes, almost 7 years ago. I wasn't officially in business. So, but I was doing a back cleanup job. Old house built in it was 110 years old. Anyway,
Okay.
so I'm upstairs. We got all the soffits ripped off. I can see daylight coming through. It's the Friday before Thanksgiving when this goes down. And I'm up there trying to plug in a heater because it was cold and I had just wind blowing right through. I plug in my heater and all of a sudden I smell smoke. So, but I don't see anything. And I go down to the basement, the 3-story above ground house and the basement down, below grade. And so I go all the way down there and I'm smelling smoke and I'm kind of freaking out. So then I reset the breaker and it shot sparks and I screamed like a little girl. And then I really smelled smoke. So I called fire department. I said, hey, I'm over here at, 1920 West Main. Can you send out a fireman with an infrared camera? I don't have mine on me, but I'm smelling smoke. And I even told the dispatcher, I was like, I don't need everybody and their mama. I just need, a truck to show up with an infrared camera. So as I'm on the phone, I hear sirens rolling, right? Next thing you know, I get 3 ladder trucks, 2 assistant fire chiefs, and 5 cop cars come blocking off my intersection or, blocking off the road around me. It's right. It's just like a half a block from the major intersection by an elementary school. And I get all these trucks and all these guys and cops and everybody showing up. And I'm like, so much for keeping this kind of on the down low. And they show up and they're shining their cameras around and they can't see anything, but they lit up, they had a better flashlight than what I had. And yeah, the electric panel was fried. And that was it. Just kind of burnt it was old wiring. So it, burnt some of the covering on the wires and told me I was all good. I'm like, well, okay then.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was just trying to be like, send a truck, not everybody in a truck. And sure enough, block off. And then the funny thing is my daughter was like, one of them was like, Dad, did you hear all the fire trucks today over there by your bat job? I'm like, well, I sure did. And she's like, wow, we didn't know what was going on. All of a sudden, I could see it's kind of right there by where you're working. And we were in gym and we were all standing at the windows because they had had the whole intersection blocked off. I was like, oh, I know. And she's like, well, what was it? What was going on? Did you ever find out? I was like, oh, yeah, I smelled smoke at my job. So I tried to, be discreet and call fire truck. It was bad. That was funny. Yeah, and then the bad thing is, they roll in and they tell me, so see all this knob and tube wiring? I said, I do. And they're like, well, you're going to need. They thought I owned the house, so they're like, so you're going to need a new breaker panel. I said, okay, and I've done enough of those that I know it's about $2,000 plus or minus $400. And then they said, and all this knob and tube wiring, the city's going to make you have to rewire the whole house. I was like, oh, great. So I had to call the homeowner and say, Fred, do you want some bad news or some really bad news? And he's like, oh, boy, where do you go from there? And so I had to tell him, so here's what happened. And because everything was open and exposed, over 50% of the property was open and exposed, the city, when they come in to inspect the new panel that you're going to have to get, that's roughly $2,000, they're going to make you rewire the whole house. He's like, oh, how much is that? I was like, I don't know. Too soon to tell. I know the breaker box is about $2,000. Rewiring a 4-story house, 100 and whatever years old, I don't know what it's going to run. So anyway, sorry.
No,
that's a fire truck showing up just reminds me. I got stories for days, and I forget about them until something triggers. Like, oh yeah, I remember that day.
When you're hiring someone to clean your carpets, you're probably assuming that they're using better equipment and better cleaning solutions than you would. Unfortunately, this is not always the case. Their equipment should heat the water to 200 degrees to ensure that your carpets are not only clean, but disinfected. Next time you hire someone to clean your carpet or tile, ask them how hot their water gets. If they don't know or it's less than 200 degrees, send them back and call me, Lonnie Beecham, with Restore It Restoration. I'll get your carpets done right and your life back to normal.
It's funny because there's a couple stories. Did I ever tell you about the time, I don't know, it must have been like 7 or 9 guys from the fire department showed up at our home in the middle of the night?
No.
Yeah. My wife.
What'd you do this time?
Oh man, we were in bed. It's the middle of the night, or maybe the really early morning, and my wife, she nudges me. She's like, "Hey, someone's in the backyard, and someone's knocking on the door, So I get up and I kind of look out the back window to see if there's anything in the backyard. And I look out the window and at the front of the house, and the street is lit up. There's fire department trucks, just lighting up the whole street. Oh, great. So then I open up the door, and there's all of these guys. They're like, we received a report that someone had like an elderly or somebody had fallen and they couldn't get up, sort of situation, right?
Oh no, yeah.
And I'm like, nope, wrong house. Like, are you sure, right? As other guys were coming appearing from the side of the house, because while we were having that conversation, or maybe even earlier, folks were just trying to get through the house, get access through the window or whatever. They were like pulling out screens and stuff, trying to see if they can get into the house. No kidding. Because if nobody answered the door, they would have just...
Oh, they were coming in.
They would have just busted in, right? Because, for all they know, it's just a lonely elderly woman who couldn't get up, and somehow a report was sent over to them. And they kept on asking, are you sure? I'm like, nope, it's just my wife and I and 3 kids, and we're all in bed, and there's nobody else. Everything's fine. So then now the question was like, maybe the address is slightly off, and there's somebody on the street who's really in need of the fire department, and we don't know who it is. So, but that was that. And it's like, geez Louise. And on the same week, our back neighbors called the police because in the middle of the night they heard noises, and that turned out to be just raccoons trying to access the garbage and get access to bones and stuff, that was in the cart. So we received we got a doorbell ring. It was the police in the middle of the night. So I'm like, geez Louise, what else is going to happen?
Oh man, that's hilarious though. You woke up and arguing like, no, promise you, we're all asleep.
Yeah.
Well, one time I fell asleep. I don't know how we're getting into these stories, but I fell asleep one time on the couch. We were married, but no kids, and I woke up to lights, cops' lights going just crazy, right? And I'm like, what in the world? And so I look out. And lo and behold, some guy, I live off of actually quite a ways from a highway. But anyway, some high-speed chase ended up coming down my dead-end, not even a cul-de-sac street. And the guy ditched his car right in front of my house, ran between me and my neighbor's house. She had a rake. This sounds like I just picture it like one of those cartoons. She had a garden rake just laying with the tines up. I don't know why, but she did. This guy runs through it, steps on the tines, flips the handle up, knocks himself out right under my living room window. And
no.
So yeah, we're all standing out there like, what's going on? So me and 3 in the morning, me and the neighbors are all just standing out there in our boxers and Jamie's and whatever. And then my wife's like, oh, get in here. What if it's something bad? I'm like, I don't think it's that bad. He took care of himself.
Yeah, that's.
But I would have loved to have seen the video, the footage of that handle coming up and knocking himself out.
So you guys went over and
cops were chasing him.
Did someone say, "What's up, Doc"?
Yeah, no, I was just standing there and see the guy get handcuffed and put in the back seat of a cop car, and off everybody went.
Oh,
that
wow.
was fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so here I'm sitting here. It's hot outside. It's like 94 and feels like 105 outside. It is humid as all get out, muggy and nasty.
Did you happen to catch that link I shared about the it was either a bus or a train incident?
Oh, I didn't click on the link, but I saw somebody taking a dump or something in the seat on their way out the door or something. Ugh, nasty.
Yeah, and if you read through the thing, it says it kind of happens a lot. It's pretty common where somewhere
Is that why they're hard plastic?
Somewhere in the UK, late night on a public transportation ride, there's a problem where folks decide to defecate on a seat, and it's a problem. But in this article, the head of the transportation department, I guess, decided to take action and went to Twitter and shared a couple of video cam shots of the individual, trying to solicit help from the public. If anybody knows who this is, we can try and move the issue along.
Man. Disgusting. Yeah, we don't have a lot of mass transit around here in the Midwest, and what few times I've ever ridden on them, I'm always sitting there thinking, who has crapped their pants or whatever as I'm sitting right there. Ugh, nasty. And I see people sleeping on it, and I couldn't imagine.
But,
couldn't imagine using a bus or a train.
So we've talked about it before. I don't know if it was on the show, but where, I'm in the city, I'm in San Francisco, and there's a whole lot of areas where it's a problem, where there's just feces on the sidewalk. And you know what? I'm not going to say that it's all sort of like people with problems, because I think a good portion of it too is, people with their dogs. They walk them and they're just not responsible, and it just leaves filth. And we talked about how that's big business, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, I think I told you, like, I heard that they pay like $180,000 a year for those pooper scooper guys to go around in your area. That's good money in my neighborhood.
So you gotta scoop the neighborhood, but this is like public transportation. They've got to deal with that as well.
And hose it down.
We're just classing up this episode from mold to.
Yeah, my only water job that I have going on right now is actually kind of unique. I've never done a water job. So at 7:00 Sunday morning, I had just poured my first cup of coffee, and my phone rings, and so I answer it, and somebody had overflowed their sink upstairs, and so I show up, and well, they had dug around their whole entire house all the way down to their footer. And they were waterproofing their basement since it leaks. And I don't know what all they had going on. Walls were moving and caving in like 3 inches. I mean, they got a whole mess going on. So anyway, I show up. Well, when you trench out down to your footer to replace the drain tile, they had to remove their air conditioner. I don't know why they picked. So when it's the concrete that's sitting under the foundation wall, and so there's a drain tile down there that collapses, or they get filled with dirt, or they're not even existent. I mean, a lot of houses, we don't need codes. Who needs a code? Anyway, it's just the footer is what the foundation sits on, and then there's a drain tile right around there. So any water that does get up against your foundation is supposed to get captured by this pipe, and it's supposed to roll out to, your curb, or, supposed to get it, away from the house. So they removed their air conditioner because it's sitting right there by the house, and it's trenched out 5 feet away from the foundation wall all the way around their house. And I'm like, nice. I got to get equipment in this house and suck water and do all we got to do, and take out vanities and take out carpet, do all that we got to do with no real access way to get to it. There is one, they have front step that they just went around. So I literally just backed my rig up to the front door, pulled my ramp out, set it right there on their front porch, wheeled everything in and out without having to climb stairs or anything. It was kind of nice. So I'm sitting there trying to dry this house, though, and the reason why I'm thinking about this is I can't really dry the house whenever they got all their windows open, and it's so hot and humid and muggy outside, and it's worse inside, and then I'm trying to evaporate and trying to get the water out of the carpet. And, so, I was able to close the bathroom door downstairs to dry out and, run a dehumidifier, but I couldn't put a dehumidifier it's a big enough area. I would have needed like 3 or 4 of them, but those things pump out at 120 degrees, and it's already 100 degrees in this house. And with the windows open, it would only suck the moisture from outside. It wouldn't suck the moisture from the wood and the carpet and the pad and, all the stuff that we had to do. So, so I'm still dry. It should have been dry today, but I just, I still got some wetness there, and insurance company's paying. So it's like, whatever. I'll go back out tomorrow and try to pick it up. Then I went out there to float the carpet, and that's an old technique that people used to do back in the 80s and 90s, not knowing any better. But so I got to go back to the old school method because, I can't. I'm just forcing air under the carpet, right on the carpet and pad underneath, and shooting air across the whole entire room. And say, wow. I've never dried a house without AC. Now, some areas like Michigan, Washington State, Colorado, they don't even have AC in their houses, most of them.
So it's the outdoor environment. It's the conditions in the home, and they're all just fighting each other. Meanwhile, Lonnie's getting paid.
But I'm trying to dry the house out without it getting moldy in the process, and can't really do it. So there you go. That's another day to my office. Yeah, every window in the house is open, and they're just trying to catch a breeze, and box fans are in the windows just trying to move some air to, I don't know how they're sleeping in this house. Oh, is it muggy?
Okay. That's what's going on.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty boring, mundane, routine stuff. Another day at the office.
I was picking up some Thai food for my wife the other day, and I guess they had recently cleaned a part of their floor, and they had a nice little fan or blower, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it. It's like the cutest little thing, and it reminded me of I was supposed to rent like a bigger version of that if I cared about drying out the under the cabinets where I had the dishwasher link at home, but I never did.
There you go.
Yeah, I never did. Yeah, I just tried to suck as much of that moisture out using the wet vac as possible, and just relied on just whatever air was already there to hopefully dry things out. Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's why you're not a pro.
That is why. And if there's visible problems, then I'll deal with it. Or if we all just start falling sick because whatever's growing under there. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, if it's trapped under there, it may or may not come out. But who knows? So you haven't screwed up anything else at your house in the last week or two? I mean, last time we talked, you tried to bore a hole through a wall and without a ladder.
I'm very proud of that, actually. Managed to get through.
Did you ever silicone it?
Oh, yeah, I did. I was proud of that, too. Just acting like a service guy, my own service guy. And
well, I'm proud of you, too, Ruel, utilizing ingenuity of what you have, resources on hand.
And remember I was talking about having gardeners over at the house? Remember that?
Yeah.
So So in the past, I'm blaming them for having wrecked a piece of backyard furniture, and it was a wheel. There's two wheels at the back of this this folding sort of shay, right? Well, not folding, but this little thing you can lay down on. And the two back wheels, one of the back wheels got knocked out, and it's a wooden piece of furniture. The wheel got ripped out of the leg, and I can't put the wheel back on. So the solve was just strip wheels altogether and have it just sit on short legs in the back. So I stripped off the wheels recently, and I trimmed the front legs so that it was the right height, sanded it down. I didn't have any sandpaper, by the way. So you know what I used?
No telling.
The
emery cloth?
No, the grip tape on a skateboard?
Yeah.
I just took my skateboard and I sanded the wood down with my skateboard. And
are you kidding me?
No, that was my solve. And knowing that, having cut the leg short, that it was going to expose the untreated section of the wood, I just masked the leg with some newspaper and some transparent tape and spray painted the bottom black just to give it a little layer of treatment. Then managed to find some little rubbery, I guess they'd count as padding or feet for furniture, and I put little rubber feet at the bottom of the piece of furniture, and that was my handyman session recently, fixing the backyard furniture. Did I lose you? I did. Oh no. I lost Lonnie. And he was telling me how proud he was of me lately. Maybe she is encountering a service drop on his phone.
Do you hear me now?
Now I hear you. What happened?
That was weird. I don't know. I got these $200 second generation AirPod thingies, and I stepped away for a minute, and you're saying you can't hear me. And I was within 20 feet of my van.
Huh. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. That was that.
Yeah. Well, I am very proud of you. That is very on-the-fly ingenuity at its best, using a skateboard for sandpaper. I've never thought of that.
And I feel sad for my son, because my son watches me do these things, and he's like, Dad, what are you doing? And I'm just too involved with what I'm doing, and I don't sit down. I don't stop to explain. I don't give him reason why I'm doing what I do. I just kind of count on hopefully you just watch and you learn and you can figure it out without me having to explain anything, because I've never had to do
Because you don't know how to explain it.
Son, because I don't have the material I need. I have to stand on this bumper to bore a hole through this wall. And because I can't find sandpaper, I'm just gonna use my skateboard. No, I don't. I've never had to ask my dad or my grandfather whenever they've done stuff around the house, what are they doing? I just sort of watched.
Sure. Oh, yeah. My girls watch me do the same thing.
Yeah. How were the girls? Staying out of school prison?
Yeah, they're doing good. My oldest is in college courses in high school, so that's expensive, but yet exciting. So.
Yeah, I want to apologize, for any of the new listeners. I didn't want to make it sound like Lonnie's kids were troublemakers are in and out of prison and stuff. That was just
but they have been in the last school year. Was within a month they were both in school suspension for silly, stupidness. No, this year so far so good. Nobody's gotten in school suspension, but we're only a month into it, so that could happen.
No, they sound like they're fine, upstanding citizens. They were just victims of society.
Yeah, of circumstances. But it's funny.
You're trying to help a friend out, giving him a Tylenol or an Advil or something because he had a bum knee. Yeah. Yeah,
right.
He sought approval from his parent if it was okay for him to accept and take it to deal with his injury or his pain and the authorities cranked down on them and
cops and everything. It's like, really? This isn't that kind of situation, but I get it. The few always ruin it for the many, so
had to set the example.
Yeah, they did their time, even though they didn't really do a crime.
And all they were given was bread and water.
Yeah, and
the good old days.
Suspension. Well, I'm glad we caught up. We do need to get Jackie on the horn. She texted me immediately as soon as she heard. We do need to get with her and figure out what her lunch schedule routine is. Are you in the office tomorrow?
I'll be at home. Yeah, but I've got an appointment. My wife and I have an appointment. I can't remember what time of the day, but we've got an appointment to do. But I'll be at home. Yeah.
Okay.
But we have. What if your Fridays open up? We can roll into Friday as a possibility if she's available.
Yeah, I'll work on getting Jackie on the horn between now and Friday.
That's gonna be good.
Cool. Let's call this a wrap. I gotta go home. I think I'm gonna go home and take a nap, actually. Now I lost you.
This podcast, I'm Ruel, and he's Lonnie. And this is where Lonnie likes to say...
This is Lonnie Beecham with Restore Restoration. Get your life back to normal.
They'll get your life back to normal. Lonnie with Restore It, Restoration.
Hey. Lonnie Beecham here. I'm the first one in this recording. That's just kind of how I roll, though. I'm always kind of early. I hate waiting on people. I have adjusters that'll call me and say, hey, can you meet me tomorrow at 9 a.m.? And I'll say, sure, I can do that. And I just know how it goes. I'll be there 8:50, 8:55, reading through my notes, making sure I got everything going. And then all of a sudden, they don't show up until about 8:45. I'll give them 15 minutes, and then I'll call them and say, hey, can you find, did you get lost? Oh, yeah, I'm running about 30 minutes late. And it's like, oh, you couldn't have called me, couldn't have called the homeowner, couldn't have let us know somehow. So discouraging. Hate it all day long. Meanwhile, while I'm waiting on Ruel to get on the line, that little squeaky squeaky sound you all hear is I'm pumping up a pump-up sprayer, and I got to neutralize the mold cleaner stuff out of it. So just got to keep it pumped up, and spraying water through is all it takes to neutralize it. So I had a funny story happen. Friends of ours came over Saturday, and they got an 18-month-old little girl. And the little girl kept eating all the dog food, the dry kibble stuff. And lo and behold, I was watching her, but, and I told Mom, I was like, hey, she's over there eating dog food, and Mom's all embarrassed. And I'm like, hey, I don't care. I'll share. The dog will share. We don't care. So as the course of the evening goes through, this little girl proceeded to eat all the dog food and drink all the dog's water, and then bring us in our dog bowl. We got one of those double dish dog bowl things. Brings it into Mom to get more. And we were just cracking up. I'm still laughing about it. And so my wife went to look for, the dog food mess and water mess, thinking, oh, she spilled it to, come bring it to us. Nope, it's gone. No mess, nowhere. She drank the water, she had dog food, floaty dog food in there, and it was all swollen and nasty looking, like we've all seen it. And this little girl, we fed her too. That's what's funny. She was just eating dog food all night long. I wonder where Ruel's at. It's 100 degrees outside right now. Did he just text me? Maybe he did. Oh, he texted me. I'm already in the meeting. What's up?
What is up? You are already. Yes. Look at that.
Now I'm replying to you.
I got it. I'm already in the meeting, you idiot.
Yeah. What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
This is a Wednesday.
Welcome to the Wednesday show. It's different from our other shows.
Yeah, because we're so polished and so regimented.
What's going on? How's it going on your side of?
Finally catching a breather. I've been slammed every day for the last several months. So
awesome. That's good.
Finally
news, right?
Caught up. Yeah, I only have one job going now, and then I got a moldy bank issue coming online here pretty soon, and then looking at a few other people.
Cool. What's the general breakdown of the recent work? Is it like all mold or carpet?
It's been 90% mold and 10% making up water damage and carpet cleaning.
Very cool. No new dead critters?
No, actually, I haven't had a call like that for a while. Not since the last easy money. That turned out to be blue cheese dressing.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Good old the blue cheese incident.
Yes, that is nasty. I hate blue cheese anyway.
Where you recruited a woman to utilize her highly sensitive nose skills.
Yes. So what's up with you? Are we just kicking right in, or you going to throw some stuff in before and after?
No, we should kick it right in. But, because I'm going to if I have to throw things in like I did last time, people are going to catch on if they're if they're doing a marathon session of listening to the Service Guys podcast. Like, wait a minute, that's the same introduction.
Yeah, well, might as well. I don't like doing the intros and outro things anyway.
Oh, okay. I'll have to take note of that on my handy dandy notepad.
That's why I always have you do it.
Goodness gracious. Okay. So let's kick it off.
All right, go for it.
This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production.